If you are not using sourdough, then you are already missing out. This is so nice to eat, and there are just too many advantages to ignore. Sourdough bread is a bread made by the fermentation of dough using wild lactobacillus and yeast. Lactic acid from fermentation imparts a sour taste and improves the keeping qualities. What is another name for sourdough bread? You might also see the term levain bread or pain au levain, which are other names for sourdough bread. Because the term levain is French for leaven, which is almost always taken to mean naturally fermented bread, the term levain is often used synonymously with sourdough. Why is sourdough bread better for you? Sourdough relies on a mix of wild yeast and lactic acid bacteria rather than baker's yeast to leaven the dough. It's richer in nutrients, less likely to spike your blood sugar, contains lower amounts of gluten, and is generally easier to digest than bread made with baker's yeast. Why is sourdough so delicious? Thanks to the lactic and acetic acids that ferment the dough and provide its characteristic tang, the flavor is vastly superior. Sourdough is a healthier alternative to regular white or whole wheat bread. Although it has comparable nutrients, the lower phytate levels mean it is more digestible and nutritious. The prebiotics also help to keep your gut bacteria happy, and it may be less likely to spike blood sugar levels. Is sourdough bread good or bad carbs? Sourdough has made a comeback, and for good reason. It's packed with nutrients, healthy carbs, protein, fiber, iron, and vitamins like folate. It can improve digestion, lower chronic disease risk, and even promote healthy aging. Why is it called sourdough? Sourdough bread is called sourdough because it is made using a naturally occurring yeast and bacteria culture known as sourdough starter. The starter is a mixture of flour and water that is left to ferment over time, which allows wild yeast and bacteria to colonize it. When should you not eat sourdough bread? It's pretty easy to tell when sourdough bread has gone bad because it will be covered in visible signs of mold growth and will feel hard both inside and out. It may also smell bad too, but not always. Once it's past the fresh stage, first 24 hours, you will notice some deterioration in crust and crumb. Is it okay to eat sourdough bread every day? Sourdough contains a variety of vitamins and nutrients, making it super beneficial to your day-to-day health. Sourdough bread has small to moderate amounts of iron, manganese, calcium, B1 through to B6, B12, folate, zinc, potassium, thiamine, niacin, riboflavin, selenium, magnesium, phosphorus, and vitamin E. Favorite sourdough bread toppings: hummus, avocado and hummus, butter, cheddar and pickled onions, caramelized leek and fava beans, eggs. Toppings continued: Greek yogurt and fresh berries, green olives, herbs and brie cheese, fresh jam or jelly, basil, mozzarella and tomato, mushrooms with caramelized onions, peanut butter or savory spread, Greek sourdough bread topping. You can just add to the list. Does sourdough bread have gluten? Sourdough is not gluten-free, but we know that many people with IBS, gluten intolerance, or gluten sensitivity can tolerate sourdough bread. This is because the methods used to make sourdough break down some of the gluten in the flour, so it is easier to digest. Think of sourdough as low gluten rather than gluten-free. What is the disadvantage of sourdough bread? It does have a lower gluten load than regular bread. However, if you are celiac, have a true allergy to wheat, or a more severe form of gluten sensitivity, sourdough is not recommended because it is not gluten-free or wheat-free. Digestive advantage. Sourdough does have some digestive benefits. During the fermentation process, bacteria and yeast work to pre-digest starches in the flour. This translates to easier digestion for you and a more stable effect on blood sugar compared to store-bought bread. Does sourdough bread have sugar? Sourdough bread doesn't contain sugar, while ordinary sandwich bread often does. Otherwise, the macronutrients depend on the kind of flour used. Whole wheat flour will generally contain more fiber than white flour. Enriched flour will also have vitamins and minerals to offer. How many calories are in 2 slices of sourdough bread? This is basic so as to give you a rough idea. On average, 2 slices of sourdough bread weighing 64 grams each will contain around 348 calories. Is sourdough good for you to lose weight? Sourdough bread is higher in fiber than some other types of bread, which make it stand out when it comes to weight loss. High levels of fiber in diets have been linked to weight loss, with fiber-rich foods usually helping you feel and stay full for longer. Does sourdough spike blood sugar? Sourdough bread has a lower glycemic index at 54 than commercial bread 71. That means sourdough bread does not raise blood sugar levels as rapidly as refined white bread. Can you toast sourdough bread? Yes, of course you can toast sourdough bread. I love to toast my sourdough bread or multigrain bread. Add a little butter, jam, or avocado, and it makes a perfect snack. Is sourdough bread anti-inflammatory? Some research has indicated that sourdough bread has more phenols, carotenoids, folates, and other beneficial compounds than unfermented bread. Many of the plant compounds present in sourdough bread have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties, which can benefit health. Can you freeze sourdough bread? Slice bread or leave loaf whole. Wrap tightly with aluminium foil or plastic freezer wrap, or place in heavy-duty freezer bag and freeze. How long does a loaf of sourdough bread last in the freezer? Properly stored, it will maintain best quality for about 3 months. What's the take-home? You must see how this can add benefit to your daily diet. Just add this occasionally and you will see it will grow on you. This is how I started off, and now I use sourdough more often than not. If you found some new usable facts in this video, then please subscribe or pass it on. Keep on researching for new things to eat for pleasure and for health. It's a very pro-survival game to play, and it can be fun. Be strong and prosper. I wish you well from lots of healing.